View of the 2026 Audi R8, an icon reborn, refreshed and more electrifying than ever, both figuratively and literally. Settle in because this is a detailed walk around, sit inside, and ultimate performance breakdown of Audi's latest supercar evolution. No headings, just pure storytelling and analysis. The moment you first lay eyes on the 2026 R8, it's clear Audi wanted to hold on to everything that made this car legendary while pushing its design far into the future. The stance is lower, wider, and more muscular. The single-frame grille doesn't disappear despite the shift toward electrification. Instead, it's been reimagined as a sculpted, aerodynamic element that channels air where it's needed most. The sharp LED headlights have been upgraded to Audi's newest digital laser, matrix beams, and they're almost impossibly slim, like a pair of futuristic eyes scanning the road ahead. Every crease has intention, every vent has purpose. As you walk around the side, the silhouette gives off that unmistakable R8 presence, but now with more exotic drama. The classic side blades return, but they're sleeker and integrated more fluidly into the bodywork. The wheels? Massive, lightweight, forged alloys that look like rolling pieces of modern art. And depending on the trim, you get performance-oriented aero packages that add carbon fiber splitters, winglets, and an extended rear diffuser that makes the car look ready for the track even while standing perfectly still. Move to the rear and Audi goes all out. A full-width OLED light bar stretches across the back, performing animated sequences every time you lock or unlock the car. The vents are larger, more aggressive, pulling heat away from the power unit without compromise. And instead of traditional exhaust pipes, because Audi is pushing into hybridization and electrification, you get sculpted aero elements and an electronically controlled sound resonator that enhances driving emotion. The R8 badge sits proudly near the right tail light, a reminder that this is still a flagship supercar with heritage behind every curve. Now stepping inside, the transformation becomes even more apparent. The interior of the 2026 R8 feels like a cockpit pulled straight out of a next-generation fighter jet. Audi has always nailed interiors, but here they've taken craftsmanship and technology to a new level. The moment your hand touches the door handle, you feel cold machined aluminum. Every tactile surface has an intentional weight and finish. Slide into the driver's seat, and you're met with a combination of fine Napa leather, Alcantara, and exposed carbon fiber, all arranged with perfect symmetry. The steering wheel is flat on both top and bottom, wrapped in suede for maximum grip, with integrated drive mode controls and tactile paddles that feel mechanical, precise and satisfying. The digital cockpit now features Audi's latest augmented reality display, projecting route guidance and performance data directly into your line of sight. The central touchscreen is cleaner and faster than before, with haptic feedback that mimics real buttons, so you don't lose focus while driving at speed. Despite all the tech, Audi keeps physical controls for essentials like climate, because nothing ruins a supercar moment like digging through menus just to adjust the temperature. Space-wise, Audi has worked some magic. The cabin feels slightly roomier thanks to a redesigned dashboard and new seat architecture. The seats themselves are sculpted with deep bolsters that hold you in place during high G, cornering but remain comfortable. Enough for long drives. Even the sound system gets an upgrade, with a Bang & Olufsen 3D performance setup that transforms the cabin into a concert hall when you're not unleashing all that power. Speaking of power, let's talk performance. The 2026 R8 represents a bridge between the old school V10 era and Audi's electrified future. For this generation, Audi offers a twin-turbo V6 hybrid powertrain as the standard model, paired with an electric motor for instant torque. Combined output sits around 690 horsepower, and the all-wheel drive Quattro system ensures every bit of it hits the pavement with precision. Then there's the Halo version, a fully electric R8. Performance e-tron variant producing over 900 horsepower and delivering blistering acceleration that rivals the fastest hypercars. With the hybrid model, you can expect Zora 60 MP in around 2.6 seconds, thanks to that electric assist filling in any turbo lag. Power delivery is smooth, relentless, and more refined than the old V10, even if purists might miss that screaming exhaust note. But Audi compensates with a beautifully tuned artificial resonance, system that pipes authentic sounding, engine notes based on throttle, input, not fake. Pops and crackles, but a mature, performance-oriented sound profile. The electric variant, on the other hand, is shockingly quick. It launches with the violence of a magnetic roller coaster, pinning you to the seat and leaving your vision playing catch-up. The instant torque hits hard, and Audi's advanced torque vectoring and battery cooling systems ensure consistent performance lap after lap. Range sits around 320 miles in normal driving, though spirited runs will obviously trim that. Still, charging is fast thanks to Audi's new 350 kilowatt architecture, giving you a significant boost in minutes. But raw power isn't the only story here. The 2026 R8 features an adaptive suspension system that reads the road 1,000 times per second, constantly adjusting damping for maximum grip and comfort. In comfort mode, the car glides surprisingly smoothly, soaking up bumps with ease. Switch into dynamic or track, and everything tightens. The steering gains weight, throttle response sharpens, and the suspension stiffens to give you the confidence to push harder. The car feels like it shrinks around you, becoming an extension of your own reflexes. The chassis balance is near perfect, with minimal body roll and razor-sharp turn-in. It's the kind of car you can confidently take to a mountain road or circuit and trust completely. Braking performance is equally impressive. Carbon ceramic rotors come standard on higher trims, giving you fade-free stopping power even under repeated hard braking. The pedal feel is progressive and confidence-inspiring, allowing you to modulate braking force with precision, something drivers appreciate when shaving off speed from triple-digit numbers. Now let's talk pricing. The 2026 Audi R8 doesn't come cheap, and honestly, it shouldn't. This is a flagship supercar, blending craftsmanship, performance, and cutting-edge tech. Expect the hybrid base model to start around $195,000, depending on market conditions. Higher trims with upgraded aero, interior packages, and performance tuning will push that number well above $230,000. The full electric e-tron performance variant? That one's expected to hover around $260,000 to $280,000, especially with optional customization. What you're getting for that price is a future-proof supercar experience, something that blends the emotion of traditional performance with the precision of modern engineering. The 2026 R8 keeps the soul of its predecessors, but evolves it in every meaningful way. Better handling, more power, more efficiency, more tech, and a design that looks ready for the next decade of automotive innovation. As you take one last look at this machine, one thing becomes clear. The 2026 Audi R8 is not just another refresh. It's a statement. A statement that supercars can honor their heritage while embracing the future. A statement that performance doesn't have to be loud to be exhilarating. And most importantly, a statement that the R8 legacy isn't fading. It's transforming. The 2026 Dodge Demon. Now, while Dodge hasn't officially released every detail, what we're looking at today is a comprehensive, high-detail review based on industry expectations, design language, and the evolution of the Hellcat and Demon bloodline. So buckle up, because everything about this car is engineered to feel outrageous, intimidating, and unbelievably satisfying. Let's start from the moment you see it. The 2026 Demon doesn't just sit on the pavement, it dominates it. Dodge has doubled down on aggressive geometry, so the car has a wider, lower stance than the previous generation. The front fascia is shaped like it wants to swallow the road whole, with functional hood vents so massive you can practically see the air being sucked in. Dodge has always been proud of form following function, and on the Demon, every crease, every dam, and every vent is there to cool something, feed something, or push air around something. The headlights are slimmer and meaner than before, designed not just to illuminate the road, but to glare at anything in front of it. The fenders bulge like coiled muscles, and the massive drag-ready tires fill the wheel wells so aggressively they almost look impossible. The rear of the car carries a new wing design, still street legal, but clearly inspired by the track. It's not a pretty car in the delicate sense. It's pretty in the same way a thunderstorm is pretty. It's a car that lets everyone around it know that subtlety has been permanently deleted from its vocabulary. Moving inside, the 2026 Demon takes a surprising turn. Dodge knows its customers want brutality when the car is moving, but comfort when it's parked. so the interior blends performance-centered minimalism with just enough modern luxury to make daily driving enjoyable. The seats take center stage here. Deep, race-inspired bolsters, optional Alcantara-wrapped cushions, and stitching that matches the exterior. Paint if you choose one of the custom Demon packages. They're built to hold you in place when the G-forces hit, but comfortable enough for a full road trip. The steering wheel is thick, flat-bottomed, and loaded with integrated controls. But the real magic is the gauge cluster and center display. You get a fully digital setup with a driver-customizable layout, drag mode, street mode, track mode, and a Demon-exclusive launch configuration. The performance pages return with more detail than ever. Boost pressure, timing adjustments, G-force tracking, transmission temperature, tire temperature, drag-specific data, and even a real-time dyno display. Dodge knows Demon drivers love numbers, and now the car gives you more numbers than you'll know what to do with. The cabin also features improved sound insulation, though most Demon buyers will probably switch to the active exhaust mode that lets the car snarl at full volume. Speaking of which, the 2026 Demon's audio system is solid, premium options from Harman Kardon return, but let's be honest. The best soundtrack in this car comes from the supercharger whining and the exhaust shouting. Now let's talk about what you really came for, the performance. Dodge has been pushing the limits of internal combustion performance for years, and even though the industry is moving toward electrification, Dodge refuses to let the Demon fade quietly. The 2026 Demon is expected to carry a revised version of the iconic 6.4-liter supercharged Hemi V8, now tuned to squeeze out even more horsepower. While exact numbers haven't been revealed, industry insiders and engineering leaks suggest output somewhere between 920 and 1025 horsepower depending on fuel and tuning. That puts it right at the edge of what a street-legal combustion engine can realistically deliver. The supercharger is a larger, more efficient unit with enhanced cooling channels and reduced parasitic drag. Dodge is also rumored to be experimenting with dual-injector fueling and strengthened internals to support higher redline operation. The result? A car that launches like it's trying to escape the Earth's atmosphere. Expect 0-60 times in the low 2-second range, potentially even dipping under 2.0 seconds with the right setup and drag-optimized surface. Quarter-mile times may again challenge NHRA limits, bringing back memories of the original Demon being too fast for sanctioned events. And it's not just straight-line performance. The suspension system gets adaptive damping, improved geometry for traction under heavy acceleration, and smarter torque management. Dodge wants the Demon to remain the king of the drag strip, but they've also worked to make it more stable on twisty highways and higher speed track conditions. It's still a muscle car first, but it won't feel as wild or unpredictable as older generations when you push it through corners. Braking also receives major upgrades, with Brembo 6-piston calipers up front and larger rotors engineered specifically to handle repeated high-speed runs. This isn't the kind of car where you tap the brake. This is the kind of car where the brakes have to fight to slow down. Hundreds of turbocharged, supercharged, gasoline-driven horses trying to break free. Now, let's talk price, because a car like this doesn't come cheap. The previous Demon started in the mid-$80,000 range, but with modern materials, safety requirements, updated tech, and significantly higher performance. The 2026 model is expected to land between $125,000 and $150,000 before options. And yes, options matter on a car like this. Lightweight wheels, special paint, carbon fiber aero, track packages, interior upgrades, and fuel system enhancements can push the price comfortably into the $170,000, $180,000 zone. But here's the thing, the Demon isn't just a car. It's a collector piece, a performance artifact, and the kind of machine that will hold value for a very long time, especially as combustion engine icons become more rare. The Demon has always been Dodge's loudest statement that raw mechanical power still matters, that a car can be ridiculous and beautiful at the same time, and that there's a certain kind of joy you can only feel when a supercharged V8 tries its hardest to tear open the sky. The 2026 version continues that legacy. It's not the safe choice, it's not the practical choice, and it's definitely not the subtle choice. But if you want something that makes every drive feel like a special occasion, something that makes you grin even when it's turned off, something that reminds you why you fell in love with cars in the first place, then the 2026 Dodge Demon is exactly that kind of machine. So that's the full breakdown: exterior presence, interior refinements, performance madness, and price expectations. Let me know in the comments what you think. Would you daily a Demon? Would you track it? Would you collect it? And more importantly, what kind of content should we cover next? This is the 2026 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia, a name that has lived in the hearts of enthusiasts for decades. And now Volkswagen has brought it back with a modern twist. What we have here isn't just a car. It's a statement of style, heritage, and modern engineering, coming together in a way that feels both nostalgic and brand new. So buckle in, because we're going deep into the exterior, interior, performance, and the price of this revived classic. Right away, the first thing you notice about the Karmann Ghia is the design. The original car was known for its flowing curves and elegant proportions, and Volkswagen didn't just copy that, they reinterpreted it for the future. The 2026 model has a sleek, sculpted body that looks aerodynamic from every angle, with the kind of silhouette that stands out immediately. The front end brings a modern take on those classic oval headlights, now using adaptive LED matrix technology that not only looks sharp but also provides a precise beam pattern on the road. Right below those headlights, you'll notice subtle air intakes that help with cooling while maintaining a minimalist look. There's no aggressive grille here, just a clean, smooth face that gives the car a timeless vibe. Along the sides, the car shows off its coupe form with a long hood, short rear overhang, and a roofline that dips gracefully toward the back. The body lines are soft but purposeful, almost like they've been shaped by wind rather than drawn by a designer. You'll see flush door handles, aerodynamic mirrors, and frameless windows that enhance the sporty yet elegant aesthetic. And depending on the trim you pick, you can get wheel sizes ranging from 18 to 20 inches, with designs inspired by the vintage Karmann Ghia wheels but adapted for modern tastes. At the back, the taillights stretch across the width of the car with a sleek LED bar that dances when you lock or unlock it. The rear bumper remains uncluttered, with a subtle diffuser and hidden exhaust outlets on the gas version, or a completely clean rear on the hybrid and electric models. Moving inside, the cabin is where Volkswagen really blended classic charm with modern technology. The dashboard is beautifully simple, with a wide sweeping design that plays tribute to the original's minimalist interior. There's a digital driver display that can be customized with retro-inspired skins, everything from classic analog dials to ultra-modern layouts. In the center, a floating touchscreen takes care of infotainment duties, offering wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Volkswagen's latest voice assistant. The screen is clean and responsive. But what sets the interior apart are the materials. You'll find leather-wrapped surfaces, brushed aluminum accents, and optional wood trim that adds warmth without feeling old-fashioned. The seats are sporty but comfortable, offering good bolstering for spirited driving, while still being suitable for long road trips. They're heated, ventilated, and even offer a massage function on higher trims. The steering wheel has a thin rim, inspired by classic sports cars, but carries modern controls seamlessly integrated. Ambient lighting runs gracefully across the doors and dash, and you can choose from dozens of colors to set the mood. Even the air vents have a retro touch, shaped like the classic circular vents but with hidden electronic controls behind them. Space-wise, the Karmann Ghia is a 2+2 coupe, meaning the rear seats are best for small passengers or extra storage. But Volkswagen has made good use of the cabin layout. The trunk is surprisingly spacious for a sporty coupe, and if you choose the hybrid or electric model, you still get a good amount of room thanks to clever battery placement. And sound insulation is excellent. On the highway, noise is reduced to a hush, unless you're in the performance trim, where Volkswagen allows some engine sound to filter through for a more emotional experience. Now let's talk performance, because the 2026 Karmann Ghia comes with multiple powertrain options to suit different types of drivers. The base model features a turbocharged 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine producing around 230 horsepower. It's smooth, responsive, and gives the car a lively character. Paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, it delivers quick shifts and a satisfying drive. The mid-range hybrid model combines a smaller turbo engine with an electric motor for a combined output of around 300 horsepower. This version offers instant torque, better fuel economy, and an engaging feel thanks to its electric boost. Then there's the performance-oriented Ghia S model. This variant packs a 2.5-liter turbocharged engine pushing out around 380 horsepower. It turns the car into a genuine sports coupe with sharp throttle response, a quicker transmission tune, adaptive suspension, and performance brakes. 0 to 60 times dip into the low 4-second range, making it seriously fast while still keeping the refined feel of the Karmann Ghia heritage. Finally, for those interested in the electric future, Volkswagen offers a fully electric version using an 82 kWh battery pack and rear-wheel drive, producing around 250 horsepower. It's not the fastest of the lineup, but it delivers smooth acceleration, a quiet ride, and a range of roughly 280 to 300 miles, depending on driving conditions. Charging is quick too, with DC fast charging capability that takes the battery from 10 to 80% in under 25 minutes. Regardless of which powertrain you choose, the Karmann Ghia handles beautifully. It feels planted in corners, thanks to a low center of gravity, balanced chassis tuning, and precise steering. The ride quality is refined, offering just enough firmness to give you feedback without punishing you on rough roads. Now let's get into pricing, because this is where things get interesting. Volkswagen aims to position the Karmann Ghia as an accessible premium sports coupe. The base model starts around $39,000, which puts it in competition with cars like the Toyota Supra 4-cylinder or the Ford Mustang EcoBoost. The hybrid model bumps that up to around $45,000, while adding more power and efficiency. The Ghia S performance model lands around $55,000 to $58,000 depending on options, making it a compelling alternative to the higher-end Toyota Supra, Nissan Z Nismo, or even an entry-level BMW M240i. As for the electric version, it starts around $47,000, competitive with other premium EVs while bringing a stylish, retro-inspired body that stands out in a sea of similar-looking electric cars. Of course, options can push these prices up. Add premium audio, a panoramic roof, special paint, or the Heritage Package, which includes retro badges, unique wheel designs, and special interior trims, and you might see the price climb by several $1,000s. But the value is strong regardless, because Volkswagen didn't just build a sports car. They built something with emotional impact, something with history and soul, something that feels like a modern classic the moment you see it. So that's the 2026 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia, a legendary name back in action with stunning design, a beautiful interior, solid powertrains, and pricing that keeps it within reach for many enthusiasts. It pays tribute to its past while embracing the future in all the right ways. If you're someone who loves style, heritage, and a driving experience that makes you smile every time you hit the road, this might just be your next car. 2026 Corvette Zora. This is the car that's been whispered about in supercar circles for years. The one Chevy has been teasing through prototypes, rumors, and performance benchmarks that sounded almost unrealistic. Now that it's finally here, we can break down the exterior, interior, performance, and price in full detail, exactly what you need if you're wondering whether this is the Corvette that truly steps into the hypercar arena. Let's start with the way this car presents itself, because the moment you see the Zora in person, it's clear Chevy designed it to stand shoulder to shoulder with the fastest and most exotic machines in the world. Its appearance is familiar but evolved, taking the mid-engine architecture of the C8 generation and pushing it into far more aggressive territory. The front end sits noticeably lower, with sharper aerodynamic channels carved into the fascia, not just for style but for real airflow manipulation. Chevy has refined the nose into something that looks both futuristic and intentional, designed around downforce, cooling, and aerodynamic balance. The headlights are slimmer, like the eyes of a predator, and the hood incorporates new extraction vents to pull hot air from the front radiators. The profile of the Zora is where it really begins to stand apart. From the Z06 and even the E-Ray, the side intakes are massive, sculpted to pull air at high volume toward the twin turbocharged V8 and hybrid components. The whole side silhouette feels more race car than road car, with wider hips and a stance that almost looks ready for Le Mans, straight from the showroom. The roofline stays low and compact, designed to keep the center of gravity as low as possible, while the body jets rearward into a tail section that has clearly been shaped in a wind tunnel for countless hours. At the back, the car pushes even closer to full hypercar proportions. A large active wing sits prominently, adjusting automatically depending on speed, braking, and cornering forces. The rear bumper incorporates huge vents for cooling the hybrid system and turbos, and the quad exhaust outlets sit high, giving the Zora a visual symmetry you don't normally see in American performance cars. The taillights stay true to Corvette DNA, but appear sharper and more layered, with a more exotic lighting signature when the sun goes down. The diffuser is enormous. This is an underbody designed for real aerodynamic work, not just decoration. Moving inside, the Zora continues the Corvette tradition of a cockpit that feels centered around the driver but raises the materials, layout, and technology to a level that feels far closer to European exotics. The moment you open the door, you notice the cabin sits low and tight, wrapping around you like a performance shell. Chevy uses upgraded leathers, Alcantara, and carbon fiber throughout, but what really stands out is how sculpted and intentional everything feels. The seats are new Zora-specific carbon back performance buckets, designed to hold the driver firmly under extreme G-forces but still provide enough comfort for longer trips. The driver's zone is clean, with a fully digital display that can switch between road and track-focused layouts. The steering wheel is squared off and multifunctional, housing drive mode controls, suspension settings, and performance data toggles. Chevy has incorporated a new HUD system with higher resolution and the ability to display not just speed and navigation, but hybrid power flow, boost levels, and track telemetry right in the driver's line of sight. The center console still angles heavily toward the driver, a Corvette signature that fans love, but the Zora gets an upgraded infotainment system with smoother animations, faster response times, and more customization options. What's especially interesting here is the integration of hybrid performance monitoring. You can see exactly when the electric motors are adding torque, how the turbo system is spooling, and what balance of power is being delivered in real time. It's nerd heaven for performance enthusiasts. Even though this car is built for extreme speed, Chevy hasn't ignored comfort. The cabin has improved sound insulation and more premium touchpoints throughout. You get wireless connectivity, a premium audio system, and updated voice controls, making this car just as usable on daily drives as it is on a track. That duality is one of the biggest strengths of the Zora. It can be brutal when you want it to be, and calm when you don't. Now let's get into what truly sets the 2026 Corvette Zora apart, the performance. This is the most powerful Corvette ever built, with Chevy combining a twin-turbo flat-plane crank V8 with a hybrid electric system to create a total power output rumored to be around 1,000 horsepower or more. This is a staggering number, one that pushes the Zora directly into competition with the likes of the Ferrari SF90, McLaren 750S, and even some limited production hypercars. The combustion engine alone produces enormous power, thanks to its high-revving nature and turbocharged design. But what transforms the Zora into something truly special is the electrification. The electric motor provides instantaneous torque, filling in the gaps where turbos normally lag, giving the Zora a throttle response that feels unnaturally sharp. Together, the hybrid system and engine create acceleration numbers that are expected to push the Zora from 0 to 60 mph in around 2 seconds flat, maybe even slightly under, making it one of the quickest production cars in the world. Top speed is expected to clear 215 mph, and the car's handling capabilities are equally impressive. An upgraded magnetic ride suspension helps the car stay planted even under intense cornering forces. The all-wheel drive system provided by the hybrid motors gives the Zora a level of traction previous Corvettes never had. The steering is sharp and precise, communicating feedback from the road directly into your hands. Massive carbon ceramic brakes bring all this power back under control, providing consistent stopping power even after repeated hard use. The Zora is designed to perform on a racetrack without hesitation. But unlike some high-end exotics, It's also built to be approachable. Chevy has tuned the drive modes to allow drivers to ease into the car's abilities, with systems that help you gradually peel away electronic assistance as your skill improves. This makes the Zora not only a monster on track, but also one of the most user-friendly hyper-performance cars on the market. Now let's talk about price, because a car like this isn't going to come cheap. While final numbers may vary depending on options, the 2026 Corvette Zora is expected to start somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000. This puts it in a territory previously untouched by Corvette models, but still significantly below the European hypercar competition. For the level of engineering, performance, and technology you're getting, the Zora becomes one of the most impressive value propositions in the super high-performance world. Even fully loaded with custom interior options, carbon upgrades, and performance packages, it's expected to remain well under the price tags of comparable Ferraris or McLarens. Overall, the 2026 Corvette Zora feels like the moment Chevy finally decided to build something without limitations. It's bold, extreme, technologically impressive, and genuinely beautiful. It's the kind of car that pushes a brand forward and sets a new standard for what American engineering can accomplish. If you enjoyed this in-depth review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more reviews and test drives here on MVP Road Car. The 2026 Dodge Viper, a car that many thought would never return. Yet here it is, louder, sharper, and more unapologetically aggressive than ever. This script will walk you through the full experience as if you and I are standing next to it, touching it, firing it up, and putting it through its paces. So let's get into it. The first thing you notice when you walk up to the 2026 Viper is that it refuses to blend in with modern supercar design trends. While everyone else is going electric, softening edges, and chasing aerodynamic efficiency through slippery, minimalist shapes, the Viper still looks like it was carved out of raw muscle and late-night adrenaline. The proportions remain unmistakably Viper, a long serpentine hood stretching forward like it wants to swallow. The road hole, a compact cabin pushed far back, and rear haunches that look ready to pounce. But this isn't a retro remake. Every inch has been modernized. The front end features a wider stance than any previous model, and the grille has morphed into a sharp, purposeful mouth with an integrated air management system that feeds the massive powertrain beneath the hood. LED headlamps sit like the eyes of a predator, narrowed and angled to give the car a constant sense of motion even when it's parked. Dodge has introduced active aero elements throughout the body, but they're beautifully disguised. Vents that open under high load, shutters that manage airflow at speed, and a rear wing that rises in varying stages based on throttle and steering input. The design here walks a line between brutal and elegant, something only a Viper could pull off. Walking around to the side, the profile remains dramatic. The new 21-inch forged wheels fill the arches perfectly, while the side pipes, yes, Dodge brought them back, run along. The lower body with a modern heat-shielded finish that hints at the violence underneath. The body is a mix of aluminum, carbon fiber, and composite materials, shedding weight without sacrificing the Viper's naturally intimidating aura. Every crease and contour feels studied but not tamed, reminding you that this is still a car with bite. Moving inside, the Viper's cabin has undergone the most significant evolution in the model's history. Past generations were notorious for rawness, fun, but far from refined. The 2026 model keeps the raw character, but finally brings it into the modern era with higher quality materials, better ergonomics, and technology that complements rather than overwhelms the driving experience. You settle into sculpted performance seats wrapped in a mix of Alcantara and leather, bolstered enough to hold you steady during hard cornering, but not so tight that you feel trapped. The seating position remains low and driver-focused, with a deep footwell and a steering wheel mounted perfectly to align with your arms and shoulders. Dodge has kept the interior minimalistic in the best way. There's a fully digital instrument cluster, but the graphics are bold, simple, and performance-oriented. The center screen is large and crisp, offering navigation, performance telemetry, and wireless connectivity. But it never distracts from what the Viper is about: driving. Physical switches still exist for crucial functions, and the start button sits dead center like the heart of the beast. The mixture of metal accents, carbon fiber trim, and precision-stitched leather gives the cabin a premium yet purposeful feel. But the real soul of the Viper lives under the hood. Dodge has brought back a naturally aspirated V10 for 2026, a bold move in a world moving toward turbocharging and electrification. This new 8.4-liter V10 may be refined, but it still snarls and vibrates with that unmistakable Viper signature. Dodge has tuned it to produce a staggering amount of power, pushing out an estimated 760 horsepower and over 600 lb-ft of torque. It's not just about numbers, it's about the delivery. The throttle response is instant, the torque curve is broad, and the sound, deep, resonant, mechanical, feels alive. Pairing that power with a newly developed 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, the shifts are crisp and fast. But if you prefer full engagement, Dodge also offers a manual transmission option. That alone sets the Viper apart from almost everything else in its class. Power is sent exclusively to the rear wheels, because the Viper refuses to compromise on its identity. Traction control is present but more lenient, allowing seasoned drivers to feel the car move, breathe, and edge toward its limits without smothering the experience. On the road, the 2026 Viper is surprisingly more composed than you might expect. Dodge has reworked the suspension with adaptive dampers and a lightweight, double wishbone setup, giving the car a planted, stable feel even at high speeds. But don't mistake stability for softness. The Viper still communicates every bump, curve, and texture directly to the driver. Steering feel is sharp and immediate, with just enough weight to make every turn feel intentional. On a track, the car transforms from intimidating to exhilarating, diving into corners with confidence and powering out with ferocity. The braking system uses massive carbon ceramic rotors that handle heat incredibly well, allowing repeated hard stops without fade. The pedals are firm and responsive, perfect for heel and toe downshifts if you're driving the manual. While the Viper has historically been a car that demanded respect, the 2026 model rewards skill more than ever before, turning driver input into precision motion. As for pricing, Dodge has positioned the 2026 Viper as a direct competitor to high-end American and European supercars. The expected starting price sits around $180,000, which might seem steep compared to previous generations. But when you consider the performance, materials engineering, and exclusivity, it becomes far easier to justify higher trim models, and special editions will push past $200,000 and even approach the $250,000 range, depending on options like track packages, custom paint, carbon upgrades, and interior personalization. Dodge plans to produce the Viper in limited numbers, ensuring it remains a rarity on the road and a future collectible. In a world where supercars are becoming cleaner, quieter, and more automated, the 2026 Dodge Viper stands out as a rebellious tribute to mechanical purity. It's the kind of car built for people who love driving for the sake of driving, who enjoy the challenge of mastering a machine with its own personality. It's not meant to be polite or subtle. It's meant to make your pulse jump, to demand your attention, to remind you what raw horsepower feels like when unleashed properly. If you're the kind of driver who craves emotion, sound, and presence as much as speed and numbers, the 2026 Viper may be one of the last great machines built with you in mind. Dodge didn't just revive a name, they revived an experience. It's the 2026 Chevrolet Bel Air, a car that blends nostalgia with modern engineering in a way that feels both familiar and completely new. And in this video, we're going deep into its exterior, interior, performance, driving feel, trim options, and expected pricing. No headings, just a smooth cinematic script you can deliver straight to camera. The moment you see the 2026 Bel Air, it hits you with that unmistakable retro-inspired charm. Chevrolet didn't try to copy the old design, but you can see the DNA, the upright stance, The bold shoulders, the long, clean profile lines. Then they fused all that with modern aero curves and lighting tech. The front end is the instant showstopper. You get a wide, confident grille that pays respect to the 55-57 icon, but now it's sculpted with active shutters and wrapped in a floating LED signature that sweeps outward like a neon smile. The headlights are razor-thin, almost blade-like, and tucked into a deeply carved fascia. There's something aggressive here, but also elegant, like this car knows it carries a legacy. Move along the side, and the proportions are the first thing that stand out. Long hood, short overhangs, and a posture that almost looks rear-wheel drive even before you turn it on. What steals the show is the chrome accent piece that runs in a modern interpretation of the classic Bel Air Spear. It's subtle, not loud, but it's a clever callback that fans will appreciate. The flared wheel arches house, 19-inch wheels on the standard model, and up to 21 inches on the performance trim, each with turbine style. Patterns that nod to vintage hubcaps, without going full retro. From certain angles, especially when the sunlight hits the paint, you see reflections that feel like the 1950s, spirit polished for the future. The rear end is where the modern design takes over completely. The taillights are sculpted into a wraparound C-shape with a soft glow. The trunk lid is clean and uncluttered, and the rear bumper integrates a diffuser-like shape even on the hybrid model. The Bel Air script badge sits proudly on the corner, handwritten style. Chrome timeless. The whole exterior package feels like an automotive. Time machine with Wi-Fi and a wind tunnel. Now open the door, and you step into a cabin that embraces the past without living in it. The interior is where Chevrolet went bold. You're greeted by a dual-tone cabin layout that mirrors the classic. Bel Air color splits, think ocean blue with white accents, cherry red paired with cream, or a more modern obsidian black with brushed aluminum. Instead of huge slabs of chrome like the originals, Chevy uses soft brushed metal trim, mood lighting, and stitched leather to capture that retro glamour in a refined, modern way. Front and center is a 14.3-inch curved infotainment display that arches slightly around the driver. The graphics are retro-styled in certain menus, classic fonts and gauge themes. Yet, everything functions with modern fluidity. Wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, voice control, over-the-air updates, the whole modern checklist is here. The digital gauge cluster can switch between a futuristic layout and a vintage mode with simulated chrome-ringed dials that look like they came out of a restored classic. The seats are plush, wide, and supportive, intentionally designed to give that old-school bench seat vibe without actually being a bench. You get premium leather on the upper trims, soft touch materials everywhere your hands rest, and a surprisingly airy cabin thanks to the long windows and a panoramic glass roof option. There are playful Easter eggs too, tiny bell, air script engravings in unexpected places. Even the speaker grille patterns mimic the old metal mesh from the 50s, but now they hide a 16-speaker Bose system. Space-wise, the rear seats give generous legroom for a mid-size coupe-style car, and trunk space is surprisingly large, Chevy knows. Bel Air buyers may want style, but not at the cost of daily practicality. When it comes to performance, the 2026 Bel Air gives you 3 personalities depending on the trim you choose. The base model uses a turbocharged 2.5-liter 4-cylinder hybrid system making around 255 horsepower. It's smooth, economical, and more than enough for daily driving with a quiet, almost luxurious feel. The hybrid system adds a strong, low-end push, so around-town driving feels effortless. Step up to the 3.0-liter turbo V6, and the character changes completely. Now you're looking at about 375 horsepower, a firmer suspension tune, and a sharper throttle response. The V6 delivers that classic rear-wheel drive feel with a hint of muscle when you push it. It's the sweet spot, fast but not overkill. But then there's the Bel Air SS. And this is where Chevy unleashes its modern muscle. A 4.0-liter twin-turbo V6 pushing roughly 480 horsepower, with all-wheel drive available. 0 to 60 in the high 3-second range. Adaptive dampers, a more aggressive exhaust note, and even a selectable mode that mimics the rumble of old-school V8s through active sound tuning. Not artificial, more like a modern reinterpretation of that deep, warm Bel Air burble. Driving the Bel Air feels composed and balanced. The steering is direct but not twitchy. The suspension eats up rough pavement without floating, and the cabin remains quiet even at highway speeds. The car doesn't pretend to be a track toy. It's more of a cruiser with muscle when you ask for it. Long road trips? Perfect. Spirited canyon driving? It can handle it. Everyday commuting? Smooth and comfortable. Fuel economy depends on the trim. Hybrid getting the best numbers. SS obviously thirstier, but overall, it's competitive with other modern Grand Touring-style cars. Pricing is where the Bel Air becomes interesting. Chevy positions it not as a luxury car, but as a premium nostalgic cruiser. The base hybrid model is expected to start around $34,000, which is shockingly accessible for a car with this much style. The mid-range V6 lands around $42,000 to $45,000, depending on options. And the Bel Air SS, fully loaded with all-wheel drive and performance packages, pushes into the $56,000 to $60,000 range. For the power and presence it delivers, that's solid value, especially when compared with luxury competitors that often start higher. What you get for the money is more than just horsepower or tech. You get personality. You get a car that stands out on the road, that sparks conversations at gas stations, that reminds people of a different era while handling like a modern machine. That's something you can't usually put a price on. So in the end, the 2026 Chevrolet Bel Air isn't just a revival. It's a reimagining done right. It respects its heritage without being stuck in it. It looks stunning, it drives with confidence, and it delivers enough variety in trims to fit different types of drivers. Chevy took a risk bringing the Bel Air name back, and it paid off big. If you're into modern cars with classic soul, this one deserves a spot on your list. Welcome back, MVP Road Car. And today we're diving into one of the most exciting performance machines coming in the near future. The 2026 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500. This is the kind of car that doesn't just roll onto the road, it arrives with presence, with attitude, and with a legacy behind every curve and every bolt. In this full in-depth breakdown, we'll explore the exterior, interior, performance, and expected pricing, giving you a detailed, cinematic experience from start to finish without breaking the flow into sections. The moment you first see the 2026 GT500 in person, it hits you with the same effect a fighter jet gives when it whips. Across the sky, loud, aggressive, and impossible to ignore. Ford has taken the already menacing visual identity of the Shelby line and pushed it even further. The front end is a masterpiece of modern muscle design. A massive grille dominates the face of the car, swallowing air with a purpose. It's not just big for show, it's a functional necessity to keep that monstrous engine cool. The grille is framed by slimmer, sharper LED headlights that give the car a predatory stare. The hood features deep vents and aerodynamic sculpting that look like they came straight out of Ford's wind tunnel. These vents aren't just cosmetic, they're engineered to channel heat away from the engine bay and improve overall airflow, keeping temperatures down even under heavy throttle. Walking along the side of the GT500, the presence becomes even more dramatic. The car sits lower and wider than the standard Mustang, giving it a planted, muscular look. The fenders flare outward, stretching over massive performance tires that look ready to bite into the asphalt. You can see the performance DNA even when the car is parked. The sculpted lines, the aerodynamic channels integrated into the doors, and the sharp side skirts that give the car a grounded, almost race car stance. The wheels, typically forged aluminum or optional carbon fiber depending on the trim, look like they were designed for the track first and the showroom second. Behind them are enormous Brembo brakes, painted in bright colors that catch your eye instantly. These brakes aren't just for show, they're engineered to bring this beast down from jaw-dropping speeds without hesitation. Moving to the rear, things get even more dramatic. The quad exhaust pipes look like artillery, ready to unleash a sound that shakes the road. The taillights continue the signature Mustang 3-bar design, but they've become more sculptural and aggressive. The rear bumper incorporates a deep, functional diffuser that helps reduce drag and keep the car stable at high speeds. And of course, depending on your configuration, you may see that towering carbon fiber rear wing, an unmistakable element of Shelby performance engineering. It's not there for styling alone. It generates serious downforce that keeps the GT500 glued to the road, especially during high-speed cornering. The whole rear end looks like it belongs on a car that lives on the track. Yet Ford has managed to balance function and attitude in a way that feels appropriate for the street. Stepping inside the 2026 GT500, you're greeted by a cabin that blends modern technology with classic Mustang personality. Ford knows that GT500 drivers want performance first, but that doesn't mean they want to sacrifice comfort or style. The seats are one of the first things you notice. Deep, supportive Recaro buckets designed to hold you in place, whether you're pushing through tight corners or cruising on the freeway. They're wrapped in premium leather or Alcantara, with contrast stitching that reflects the car's aggressive personality. The build quality has improved over previous generations, with more soft-touch materials, better fit and finish, and an increased use of carbon fiber trim throughout the cabin. In front of you sits a fully digital instrument cluster that changes based on your driving mode. Want a clean, simple layout for everyday driving? It's there. Want a track-focused display that highlights RPMs, gear position, and temperature gauges? That's ready too. The center touchscreen is larger and more responsive than ever, running Ford's latest Sync interface with crisp graphics and seamless transitions. Even though this car is built for speed, Ford hasn't forgotten the importance of connectivity. You still get wireless, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, a premium audio system, and advanced driver assistance features. But the interior never feels overly tech-driven. The physical switches, the metallic paddle shifters, the sculpted flat bottom, steering wheel, they all keep you connected to the mechanical soul of the car. Now let's get into what truly defines a GT500, performance. While Ford hasn't officially released all the numbers yet, expectations and insider insights indicate that the 2026 model will raise the bar once again. The heart of the GT500 will continue to be a supercharged V8, likely building on or evolving from the legendary 5.2-liter Predator engine. Rumors and engineering estimates point toward horsepower figures, comfortably exceeding 800 horsepower, making this one of the most powerful production Mustangs ever created. The supercharger whine combined with the deep, muscular roar of the exhaust creates an engine note that sends chills down your spine before you even hit the gas. When you do hit the gas, the response is instant. The upgraded transmission, likely a refined dual-clutch setup, delivers shifts that are brutally fast yet smooth, enough to handle daily driving. Launch control ensures you get maximum traction off the line, and the traction management system helps translate all that power into actual forward motion instead of tire smoke. On the road, the GT500 feels alive, alert, and always ready to surge forward with explosive acceleration. Expect 0-60 times in the low 3-second range or better, depending on conditions and configuration. Handling has also been improved, with updated magnetic ride suspension that adjusts millions of times per second to road conditions. Whether you're on a track, a winding mountain road, or a typical city street, the GT500 feels balanced and predictable, even with all that power under the hood. Ford's engineers have worked hard to make this car not just fast in a straight line, but capable of taking on corners with serious confidence. Improved aerodynamics, better chassis rigidity, enhanced cooling, and race-bred engineering make this one of the most complete performance packages Ford has ever built. Braking is equally impressive, with the massive Brembo system offering incredible stopping power and fade resistance. No matter how hard you push the GT500, it feels ready for more. Finally, pricing. While Ford hasn't officially announced the starting price, industry expectations suggest the 2026 Shelby GT500 will begin somewhere in the mid-$90,000 range. With performance packages, carbon fiber track options, upgraded aerodynamics, and aesthetic add-ons, the higher-spec models could easily push past the $110,000 to $120,000 mark. And with market demand, dealer markups are unfortunately likely to drive real-world prices even higher. But even at those numbers, when you compare the GT500 to European supercars with similar horsepower levels, it still stands out as an incredible performance value. The 2026 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 is more than a muscle car. It's a statement. It's Ford showing the world that American performance isn't going anywhere, that raw power still has a place on modern roads, and that the Mustang name continues to evolve while honoring its roots. This car isn't just about numbers. It's about emotion, It's about that feeling you get when the engine roars to life, when the exhaust crackles on downshifts, when the supercharger screams under full throttle, and when you sit behind the wheel knowing you're piloting one of the most powerful production Mustangs ever built. Thanks for watching MVP Road Car. If you enjoyed this in-depth review, hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and let me know in the comments. What do you think of the 2026 Shelby GT500? Is this the ultimate modern muscle car? Catch you in the next ride.